This is the Concise Wisdom YouTube channel. Welcome.
All right, everyone ready for this deep dive? We're going deep on this one. This is an interview with Jaspreet Singh, a financial expert.
Yeah.
You guys sent this in. This is from the YouTube channel, The Diary of a CEO. Have you seen this one?
Oh, yeah, I have. It's a good one.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff in there.
So this guy's challenging like everything that we thought we knew about building wealth. He's got this minority mindset, but it's not even just about money.
Right. It's a whole philosophy, right? It's
Yeah.
like rewiring your brain to think differently, breaking free from how we've been taught to think about money,
Yeah.
which is usually wrong.
Yeah. It's like he's giving us the cheat codes to the financial game. And he doesn't hold back. Like right out the gate, he drops this stat that 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, crazy, right? Like that's the majority of people.
I know.
It really makes you think.
Yeah, it's a serious wake-up call. It makes you wonder if the whole system is kind of rigged against us. You know?
Yeah. That's what Singh argues, yeah. We're told to climb the corporate ladder, get that promotion, but nobody teaches us about building real, lasting wealth.
Totally. I remember like when I was younger, there was so much pressure to look rich, you know? New clothes, fancy dinners, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. I remember that, too. Trying to keep up with appearances.
Yeah. And looking back, it just kept me broke.
Oh, for sure. It's a trap so many people fall into.
It is.
That desire to project wealth actually keeps them poor. They spend all their money trying to look rich instead of actually building wealth.
Yeah. We end up playing the wrong game entirely. And, you know, this guy, Singh, he's been through it. He even went to law school, but he realized this isn't my path.
Yeah.
This isn't what I'm supposed to be doing.
Exactly. He knew that true wealth wasn't about a fancy job title. It was about owning assets that generated cash flow.
Yeah. And he started young, like really young. Bought his first investment property at 19, a condo for just $8,000.
Yeah, that was a smart move. It perfectly shows the difference between buying a house to live in, which can often be a liability,
Yeah.
and buying an asset that actually makes you money.
Yeah. He was getting $600 a month in rent from that condo.
Wow.
And that's the thing, right? We always hear that buying a house is building generational wealth. But for the first 15 years of your mortgage, you're mostly just paying interest to the bank. You're not really building much equity.
Right. Most people don't realize that.
I know.
It's like you're running on a treadmill, working hard, but not really getting anywhere.
Exactly.
And those early mortgage payments, they're mostly going to the bank, not your future.
So even with the American dream of owning a home, we have to ask ourselves, is this a liability or an asset?
For sure.
It's about understanding opportunity cost. You know, what are you giving up by tying all your money up in a house that you maybe can't really afford?
Right. Exactly.
But, you know, Singh is honest. He didn't just like magically become a financial guru overnight. He made mistakes with that first condo too.
Oh, yeah. What happened?
He hired a bad contractor and had a terrible tenant, like a real nightmare situation.
That's tough.
Yeah. But those experiences taught him some valuable lessons, right? Like due diligence. Don't rush into a deal just because it seems cheap or easy.
Yeah, sometimes the best deals are too good to be true.
Exactly. Oh, and remember that story he told about hiring a cheap accountant? That was painful.
What happened?
Ended up costing him over $100,000 in back taxes.
Ouch. Yeah, sometimes trying to save a few bucks up front can end up costing you a fortune down the road.
You know, I think what's really admirable about Singh is that he owns his mistakes. He doesn't shy away from them.
That's a big part of that minority mindset.
Totally. Taking responsibility, good or bad. But okay, so someone's listening to this and they're feeling stuck in that paycheck to paycheck cycle.
Yeah.
Where do they even begin? What's the first step to breaking free?
Okay, so Singh advocates for this thing he calls the 75-15-10 plan. Basically, 75% of your income goes to spending, 15% to investing, and 10% to saving.
That makes sense, but even saving 10% can feel impossible when you're living paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, and he's not going to sugarcoat it. He's pretty straight up. You have to make some serious changes. Cut out unnecessary spending, especially on things like entertainment.
Like, no more Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. Tough love, I know, but it's about prioritizing your financial future.
Wow, that's commitment.
It's about making smarter choices for the long term.
Okay, so let's say you free up some cash. Where do you even start with investing?
Well, before anything else, Singh says you have to develop the right mindset. You have to believe you can become wealthy.
Like, really believe it.
Yes, really believe it. He even says, like, repeat this phrase to yourself. I will become wealthy.
Interesting. It's like setting an intention, right?
Yeah.
But how do you go from just believing it to actually making it happen?
That's where the minority mindset really kicks in. And he tells this powerful story about teaching in Detroit public schools. He noticed many of his students had really limited aspirations. They didn't believe someone like them could ever become wealthy.
That's so sad.
Right. It's like they were trapped by these invisible barriers.
And those barriers come from like our environment, our upbringing, right?
Exactly. It's often tied to their background or socioeconomic status. It's what Singh calls stereotype threat, and it can really hold people back.
So how do we break free from those mental barriers? How do we start to believe that we can become wealthy, even if we don't come from wealth?
Well, Singh encourages us to see money as a tool. It's not inherently good or bad. It just amplifies who you already are.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's about aligning your financial goals with your values, your purpose. Money should be a means to enhance your life, not define it.
It's not about chasing riches just to be rich. It's about using money to create the life you want.
Right. Exactly. And that's why having the right mindset is so crucial. If you believe you can become wealthy and you're willing to put in the work, you're already halfway there.
Okay, so you've got the right mindset, you freed up some cash flow, and you're ready to invest. What does Singh actually recommend? What are the paths to building wealth?
He talks about 3 key areas: starting a business, investing in real estate, and investing in the stock market.
Those are the big ones, right?
Yeah, they've consistently created wealth over time. But he's realistic. He knows not everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur.
That's true.
He even shared a story about how he encouraged a friend to quit their job and start a business.
Oh, yeah. What happened?
Well, it turned out the friend just didn't have that same drive, that risk tolerance. Starting a business takes a certain personality type. You got to be comfortable with uncertainty, able to handle setbacks.
It's not for the faint of heart.
No, it's not. But for those who are ready to go for it, he emphasizes finding a problem you can solve, building a strong team, and being willing to learn from your mistakes.
Oh, learning from mistakes is huge.
Right. He really emphasizes that. And he's also big on patience. Building a successful business takes time. It's not about getting rich quick.
Okay, so let's say entrepreneurship isn't your thing. What about real estate?
Okay, so he recommends looking for properties that generate at least a 7% cash-on-cash return.
7%.
Meaning for every dollar you invest, you should get back at least 7 cents in cash flow after expenses every year.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. But finding deals like that can be tough, especially these days.
It definitely has its challenges. He stresses doing your research, understanding the market, and finding reliable partners like property managers and contractors.
It's about having a solid team, knowing what you're getting into. Okay, what about stocks? I feel like a lot of people are intimidated by the stock market, especially with all the ups and downs.
Yeah, and he gets that. He advocates for a long-term, diversified approach to stocks.
So, like, not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. And he believes in the power of compound returns, which basically means even small investments can grow significantly over time.
If you're patient, right?
Exactly. Patience is key. He emphasizes that building wealth is a marathon, not a sprint.
But does he say anything about, like, cryptocurrency? That seems to be what everyone's talking about these days.
Oh, yeah. He definitely addresses that. He invests in it himself, but considers it a speculative investment.
So higher risk.
Right. He advises only investing a small percentage of your portfolio in assets like crypto.
Okay, so it's all about balance, right? Spreading your investments.
Exactly. He even shared a story about how he continued driving a cheap car even after making his first $1 million.
That's discipline.
Right. He calls it being boring. Slow and steady wins the race.
So the challenge is, are you patient enough to outsmart the crowd?
Yeah, that's the real question. Can you resist the urge to chase the latest trends and just focus on building wealth steadily over time?
It's a good question to ask ourselves. So we've talked about breaking free from the paycheck to paycheck cycle, building wealth, and the importance of the minority mindset. But what about the end game? Retirement. Everyone thinks about it, but Singh has a totally different perspective on it. Let's dive into that next.
That's good.
Okay, so we're back talking about Jaspreet Singh. And, we've been talking about breaking free from that paycheck to paycheck life, right?
Yeah.
Building wealth, all that. But what about the end goal? Retirement. Everyone thinks about that, but Singh has a totally different take on it.
Oh, yeah, he really does. He thinks that traditional idea of retirement, working until you're 65 and then just stopping, it can actually be harmful.
Yeah. Like going from 100 miles an hour to zero overnight.
Right. That's going to be tough on anybody, mentally and physically.
So he's like, redefine retirement. Not just financially, but like mentally and emotionally too.
Absolutely. And his definition of financial retirement is interesting too.
Oh, yeah. What does he say?
Well, he defines it as the point when the cash flow from your investments is more than your expenses.
So like you're making more money passively than you're spending.
Exactly. And he believes you shouldn't have to wait until you're old to enjoy that freedom. You should be building a life where work is optional, not a necessity.
That's the dream, right? Financial freedom to do what you want, when you want. But how do we get there?
Well, his strategy is all about building a portfolio of things that generate income, like dividend stocks, rental properties, things like that.
Okay.
So you create a steady stream of passive income to cover your living expenses. You're not relying on a paycheck anymore.
That's amazing. But it takes time, right?
Yeah, it definitely takes time and effort. It's about consistently investing over time, letting that compound interest do its magic.
There's that patience factor again.
It keeps coming up, doesn't it?
It does. Like you said, the S&P 500 has historically returned, an average of 10% per year? But most people don't actually see those returns.
Yeah, they try to time the market, chase the hot stocks.
They let their emotions get in the way.
Exactly. They end up buying high and selling low. It's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, totally. It's about staying focused on your long-term goals, not getting distracted by the hype.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's where the minority mindset is so important.
Yeah.
It's about thinking for yourself, questioning the conventional wisdom.
Totally. And not being afraid to be different.
Like not just accepting this whole traditional idea of retirement. Right?
Exactly. And, he encourages people to start small, even if it's $100 a month. Just invest consistently.
Makes it a habit.
Yeah, exactly. And make it a habit. Don't wait until you have all this extra money lying around.
And I love that he emphasizes taking ownership of your financial education.
Yes. That's so important. Don't just blindly trust what you hear from your friends or family. Read books, listen to podcasts, Find good sources of information.
I think he even recommended a couple of specific books, didn't he?
Yeah. He mentioned Rich Dad, Poor Dad and The Total Money Makeover.
Good ones to start with, yeah. But he's also honest about making mistakes, right?
Oh, absolutely. He's not afraid to share his own financial blunders.
Like that cheap accountant.
Oh, yeah, that was a tough lesson. But it's a good reminder that we all make mistakes. It's what we learn from them that really matters.
So don't be afraid to ask for help.
Exactly. Find an expert, someone who can guide you. But this minority mindset thing, it's not just about personal finance.
Oh, right. He talks about it more broadly, like it's a way of life.
Yeah, it's like a philosophy. It's about questioning the status quo, being comfortable, being different, pursuing your own definition of success.
Even if it goes against the grain.
Exactly.
I like that. And I think that's so relevant to retirement too. Don't just accept the traditional path. Think big, set ambitious goals.
And don't let those limiting beliefs hold you back. He truly believes anyone can achieve financial freedom and create a life they love.
But he also knows it's not always easy.
Right. He talks about surrounding yourself with positive people, having a good support system, finding mentors.
It's important to have people in your corner.
It really is. And he emphasizes that building wealth isn't just about money. It's about building a life that's meaningful.
So it's about taking care of your whole self.
Yeah.
Physical, mental, spiritual health,
Yeah. It's all connected. And he also talks about giving back to your community.
Right.
True wealth isn't about how much you have, but how you use it to make a difference.
So it's about shifting that narrative around wealth, right? It's not about being selfish or greedy.
Exactly.
It's about empowering yourself to make a positive impact.
And he sees that shift in thinking as crucial to building a better future for everybody. He wants people to embrace that minority mindset, to challenge the status quo, to take control of their financial destiny.
That's a powerful message. But there's one more thing we need to talk about, right? It's not enough to just build wealth. You got to know how to protect it too.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
It is. Let's unpack that in the final part of our deep dive.
Sure.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot with Jaspreet Singh, getting out of that paycheck to paycheck cycle, investing, the whole minority mindset thing. But there's one big piece we haven't really covered. Protecting your wealth.
Yeah, it's one thing to make money, but you got to keep it too, right?
Exactly. It's like building this awesome financial house, but then forgetting to put a roof on it.
Perfect analogy. And Singh really emphasizes that. So many people focus on making money, but totally neglect the protection part.
So it's not enough to just win the game. You got to know how to defend your winnings, too. What does he recommend?
He talks about three main areas: accounting and taxes, legal protection, and then estate planning. And he says this isn't just for the super rich, it's for everyone.
Okay, let's break it down. First, accounting and taxes. Not the most exciting topic, but definitely important. Where do people usually mess up?
He says most people just kind of hand everything over to an accountant at the end of the year and hope for the best.
Yeah, guilty as charged.
But that can lead to missed opportunities to save on taxes, and even those big mistakes,
Oh yeah, like that story he told with a cheap accountant. Cost him a fortune.
Exactly. It's about being proactive with your taxes, working with a good accountant throughout the year to actually have a strategy.
So you're not just reacting, you're planning ahead.
Right. It might involve incorporating your business or setting up trusts or all sorts of things.
It sounds complicated.
It can be, yeah. But a good accountant can guide you through it. Okay, so what about legal protection? What kind of stuff does he talk about there?
Yeah, what does he recommend?
He's big on setting up the right legal structure for your business, whether that's a sole proprietorship, an LLC, a corporation. Each one's different when it comes to liability and taxes and all that legal stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely something you probably want to talk to a lawyer about.
Oh, absolutely. Find a good attorney who specializes in business law. And he also emphasizes having the right insurance coverage.
So protecting yourself from all angles.
Exactly. You got to be prepared for the unexpected, lawsuits, natural disasters, all that. Okay, last one, estate planning. I feel like people wait way too long to think about that stuff.
Yeah, it feels like something you worry about when you're older.
Right. But Singh says, no, start thinking about it early. It's not just about what happens after you're gone, but making sure your wealth is used how you want it to be.
So like setting up trusts for your kids, making sure your business is taken care of.
Yeah, exactly. It's about having a plan for your legacy, taking control of your financial future.
I like that. It sounds like Singh's whole approach to protecting your wealth is about being proactive.
Absolutely. And remember, it's not a one-time thing. Your financial situation changes. You got to revisit these strategies, make adjustments.
So it's a continuous process.
Yeah, like tending a garden. You got to keep nurturing it, protecting it if you want it to grow. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have. Lots to think about. So our deep dive into Jaspreet Singh has really shown us that building wealth is about more than just making money.
It's having the right mindset, understanding how the game works, and protecting what you earn.
It's about building a strong financial foundation that will support you and your family for years to come.
It's about having the freedom to live the life you want. Pursue your passions, give back to the community. And, Singh always emphasizes this. Knowledge is power. The more we understand about all this stuff, the better decisions we can make.
It's not just about the money. It's about creating a life with purpose and meaning. Use those resources to fuel your dreams and make a positive impact. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Great takeaways. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Hopefully you've learned a thing or two to apply to your own financial journey. Keep learning, keep growing, keep building.